You probably won't believe this, but apparently spot Bitcoin ETFs now have a 90% chance of being approved, according to Bloomberg analysts. And the only thought that's going around in the community is, get ready for the frickin' moon. At the same time though, guys, realize that this is not a fair game. I've talked to you guys about this a ton. There is so much insider trading going on all the time that you'll never be able to outcompete a proper Congress member. And if you're ever wondering, why are these people joining Congress when they're pretty stupid, it seems, or when they're so old and they don't, because money, you know? You've got a $200,000 a year annual salary, right? $200,000 a year. Net worth $200 million. Somewhere that equation is broken, but take a look at this. Justin, another U.S. congressman, has traded stocks before the start of the Middle East conflict, stocks that benefit directly from war. Representative 𝗲𝗂𝗰 disclosed purchasing up to $50,000 worth of Raytheon on September 13th. He sits on the Committee of Armed Services. Of note, Senator 𝗲𝗂𝗰 won the U.S. Senate GOP runoff in 2022. He then took Jim Inhofe's seat. Jim Inhofe was accused of insider trading. He sold $400,000 after non-public COVID hearings in January 2020. He was cleared by the DOJ. Now, a common thing is they all seem to get cleared somehow. And it's interesting how people say, oh, just do this, that will fix the... Most of these things are already not allowed. And people keep saying, oh, this should be illegal. In almost every term, it's not the way this should go. But as we've stated before, there will always be loopholes for insider trading, but the same thing will probably happen in the crypto space. A lot of you guys are saying, oh, Bitcoin ETF will do this, that. The people on the inside know it before you do. All right, so this buy the rumor, sell the news. This, for the most part, is not a retail type of thing. Very often, it's people that know exactly what the result of certain news is going to be, or exactly when it's about to hit. With, for example, a spot Bitcoin ETF, I can almost promise you right now, that some guy will know the approval is coming just before it actually comes on in, and they're going to start buying the moment that it does. Or right here, for example, somebody close to somebody like Gary Gensler might have already gotten the wind that said, well, we're probably going to approve it at the end of the year, and so we can already start preparing now, even though it might only happen in 2 months from now. Just like a lot of these things we keep seeing, it might not be directed by the day before, but they might know something will inevitably happen, even though it's not confirmed when. Here's another good example. California Governor Gavin has signed a law to create a regulatory framework for digital assets in California. It is essential that we strike the appropriate balance between protecting consumers from harm and fostering a responsible innovation environment. This makes me realize that a lot of what the SEC does is clearly against everybody's agenda, which makes me think even more so that it's purely done for a reason we can't fully see just quite yet. Either trading purposes, either ass-sucking purposes, which means that Gary Gensler or one of these guys wants to either do it for his own public record or to suck up to some law firm that he's going to work at afterwards or whatever, or that he worked at before, or somebody else at the SEC doing it for that purpose. Because clearly, everybody else knows that this is the way forward, especially if you want to take the US to the next level. I also have people often ask me, Dusty, do you trade a lot yourself? And I'll tell you this, when it comes to XRP, because we do a lot in the trading field, guys, too much. There's never too much in trading. But on the XRP front, there's honestly right now not that much to do. We do two main things on the XP front, which is basically small leverage longs, low leverage longs, which is basically a way to buy more XRP. You could also say it like you're going for a liquidation price that's below where it will ever go. And so it's a little game with the funding rate, but basically you're not able to get the benefit of the price increase by double or triple what you'd usually be able to buy. It's a contract now, but it's basically the same. It's, for example, what you could do by buying, for example, spot XRP times 3s. It's like XRP leveraged, some tokens on Bybit and some other exchanges. It's just the price is a lot more volatile, but that's because it's in unison with 3 times the actual units that you would have normally gotten. And of course, we do some short-term trading for XRP as well. And I've been thinking so long as to where to share this, and I think soon we'll have to come to a conclusion as to what to do, because I want to make a group where there's only people who are really motivated to make it big and that actually want to help each other. I've told you guys for a while, join Discord, join Discord, join Discord, but I just noticed that a lot of people don't want to share their analysis, perhaps because there's nobody taking the incentive. So I'm thinking of creating another smaller group of just people that really want it, so everybody can share their thoughts and share and hopefully help each other get to those new levels. But more on that will be coming out rather soon. I'm going to be honest with you and say Bitcoin, we trade so much more than XRP because it's a lot more quote unquote predictable. And again, especially if you've got the main idea. XRP is a little bit easier to buy on spot. Bitcoin is a little bit easier to trade. If you got the main idea though, as to where Bitcoin is eventually going to go, and I've got that over on my Twitter as well. If you understand that history repeats itself all the freaking time, and all you've got to do is just wait out the game accordingly, it just gets so much easier. Like I've said before, I believe the bull run has actually already started. It started, I think, about a year ago. Even though we had ourselves a double bottom, for the most part, it looks like we're just getting higher highs and higher lows, depending on, I guess, what exactly forms here over the next week or so. But even that, from almost any perspective, is part of the process if we see another slight downturn before the upside. Again, every single one of these times, you see a massive 80% decline, recovery, slight decline before massive pump. 80% downside, incline, slight decline, massive pump. 80% decline, incline, another, in this case, massive decline before massive pump. And in this case here, our last scenario, getting towards the all-time high was a little bit of a different process, where right now to get one more dip in before we start going absolutely haywire, I don't think it would be that bad. At the end of the day though, I do acknowledge that things like Sam Bankman-Fried's case and how they're going to treat crypto because of him might put a little bit of sand on our fire. Man-child Sam Bankman-Fried's defense is struggling in fast-moving trials as former U.S. assistant attorney. It's just interesting to see how little doubt there is anywhere, and how this man, who people said, he's not going to go to jail, he's going to get off scotch-free, he has so many connections, literally is looking at like the worst of the worst, because there's so many testimonies against him, and there's really not much of a defense he can bring up. And there's more and more audios being released right now to the public as well. It seems this guy's just absolutely screwed. Secret audio exposes Alameda's research misuse of FTX user funds, unveiling shocking details. The more you read into it though, the more depressing it gets. The fact that they literally were just playing with people's livelihoods and didn't care, just bought crazy stuff with that. And it makes you realize just how dark the world can be in the back end of things. Because the reason I sometimes say I don't like the banking system too much is because you know they don't have your money. So it's like an FTX, but then worse, because you do it knowingly. You know that if you go to the bank right now and ask for your exact money, they're going to be like, well, we can probably find a way to get you some money right now. But in theory, the money you put in, it just gets moved away, and they just hope that not everybody tries to get the money back at the same time so the system can run. So it's per definition a sort of Ponzi scheme, but you've got insurances in place which make sure it can really, generally speaking, not fail until it does, like with some of those big Silicon Valley banks, etc. And all of a sudden, nobody's talking about that anymore, which is also interesting. Silicon Valley Bank, who's talking about it? Nobody. But it was a really big deal, but people downplayed it like crazy. Anyway, some interesting stuff that also happened. MetaMask appears to have removed itself from the App Store, but then quickly afterwards, it came right back. Why was it deleted? No idea. Nor do I really care. It doesn't matter since it was gone for like 2 hours or whatever. It came right back in. What was also another interesting update was this. Ferrari drives into the crypto lane, accepts Bitcoin and cryptocurrency in the US. Well, at least as I've read thus far, only in the United States. And soon enough, eventually it'll come to Europe as well for its wealthy customers. And it's actually interesting to me how some of these companies state that the volatility is an issue, when in reality, the way I think about it is, well, the moment you receive your money, boom, you sell it, right? Or you make sure it's like instantly sold, where, oh, you might lose 0.0 whatever percent. Well, if they pay with a certain card, you might lose 1, 2, 3, 4, 5%. Whereas this 0.2 or whatever percent difference here, if that would motivate somebody to buy your car, would that discount, theoretically speaking, not have been worth it? Or make them pay 0.2% more, like a crypto surcharge of 0.3%? I think most people would be fine with that, to where this volatility is not that much of an issue, unless they want to keep it forever. But again, why not just have it as an option? I think for the most part it's just regulation. But I guess since right now the US SEC is being forced more and more to just be like, hey, Bitcoin is actually kind of fine, these guys are also trying to go along the lines of, let's just try and see what happens. And I think that's what we're going to see over the next couple of months a lot. As for example, the Ripple case now concluded, that companies are going to be like, well, the president kind of showcases that even though the SEC is harsh, most areas in the US, they're more progressive than against it. And even though the general line from the SEC is very negative, I think as a company accepting crypto, you're not that much in trouble. Regardless of whether or not the asset you're accepting was allowed or not, it can't really be a securities offering if all you're doing is accepting the token, right? So can you really be in trouble for just accepting these payments? That is on the basis that all the money laundering checks were in place, I'm assuming. But after that's been done, regardless of how they want to pay, if they want to pay and again, money laundering checks are done, the full KYC is done as well, should they not be allowed to pay whatever way they want to if it's liquid enough? I understand it might be an accounting nightmare, but I'm thinking it's not a, candy store. It's not like you're buying, $3 worth of things. In theory, you could basically have the accountant really sit down for every single transaction, pay him $150 to go over it for, 15 minutes, and it'd be worth it because whatever way they want to pay, if they're going to buy this car for $468,000, you got to pay $150 extra for the accountant. Oh, is that really that bad if they want to pay in, liquid gold? Because like I said, if it's liquid enough, you'll be able to find a way to, make sure it's worth it. But I guess that's also what these guys do. I think, honestly, if you really go to Ferrari and you try hard enough, you'll figure out a way, if they think you're worthy of it, right, to go ahead and pay. If you don't want to pay in dollars or euros or whatever fiat, you'll probably find a way anyway. That's two-sided, because on one hand, I know there are many people out there who will be able to facilitate this transfer for you. If you want to pay them crypto, they'll pay it for you. You pay a very small fee. I'm just saying directly with Ferrari or whatever. There probably is ways too, because these guys, and especially the guys in the automotive industry, they want to make money on the commission of sales, right? So they'll probably think of a way to get you whatever you want. Anyway, as ETFs roll in, etc., the general adoption of crypto is going to go far, be expanded by so much in such a short amount of time. Again, I'm not sure if we're bullish on ETFs as a baseline, but the adoption of crypto is going to change so much as this rolls in. And I keep telling you, pack your bags, because it's probably not going to be that long before the inevitable takeoff hits. I mean, even if you don't believe in the cycle, you can probably believe in the idea that this money has a pretty tight scarcity effect that kicks in every once in a while. And if you don't really believe there's going to be a crypto run again at some point, I'm not sure why you're even watching these videos, because for most of us, I think 99% of the people watching, it just makes too much sense for people to want crypto and for it to take off in terms of adoption. But then if that's the case, why not just commit yourself to going for it for the next 2 years or so? Because the probability of popping off in the next 2 years is about 90%. And as I said before, if you play your game right, you only need one bull market to retire. So why not just fully commit for about a year or so? I told people as well, let's say you watch the channel today for the first time and you dedicate yourself to going to Discord, going to whatever groups we can think of here and updating yourself properly. I'm quite sure that everybody will turn their $10,000 into $1 million over the next bull run. I don't want to say next 2 years in case the bull run takes a little bit longer because of some political conflict or whatever. But I'd say over the next bull run, if you don't turn $10,000 into $1 million, you've probably done something wrong yourself, because I'm thinking, this is not a promise, but I'm believing that most of my viewers will be able to do it because there's just so much money that enters the space. It's going to be insane how many trillions of dollars this will increase. And so if I've got 1,000 real loyal viewers, for 1,000 of them to make him a couple $1 million, it just ain't that big a deal really in the grand scheme of things. But yeah, hopefully enjoyed this little crypto update, just covering the news and exactly what's going on. You gotta understand that whenever I talk about these cycles, I still will repeat that things like XRP I think will far outperform Bitcoin, but it's about the general course of things, right? It's not about the actual prices you see right here. It's about the general course and how things usually flow. Altcoins will almost always outperform Bitcoin in a bull market if you've got yourself the right coins. And in a bear run, Bitcoin almost always outperforms. And right now it's debatable whether or not we're in the bull market or still part of the bear market. I'd say the dip has been seen, the lowest point. We just might see another small dip, a little bull trap of sorts before actually popping off. Because again, I think that might be what BlackRock and all those institutions are scheming to make sure Bitcoin drops to some level, get a lot of the confidence out, get people really scared before going to those crazy heights. Because I still personally believe that crypto should have been way higher because of all the news and the fact that ETFs are basically confirmed and coming. But the fact that it's trading so low still, I believe, is too much manipulation, and that's why I act accordingly. But yeah, that's about it for this update. See you guys later in another one.